Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, beautiful soul family, and welcome to Weekly Wisdom and Insights, your home for spiritually guided transformation and empowerment. I am your host, Dearjames, and together with the unseen, Spirit, Source, and Symphony, we look at the current energies, the intuitive insights and wisdom, and we go as guided. And we're just days shy of the 3-year anniversary of the Weekly Wisdom and Insights journey. And we began this journey back on November 17th, 2021. And it was titled The Return of the Divine Feminine. And there is not a greater moment in time than now to not withdraw from that energy, but to lean into it. And you're going to see why and how this is so prominent and so true at this moment. So let's jump in, let's dive in, and look at the main energies. We have, it's an 11 month, so we have that peace, relax. We're moving towards peace. Number 13, and 13 is associated with the divine feminine. And it's about fellowship and socialize, how we come together. And it goes so perfectly with 8. It's a 2024 is an 8 year, so it's about uniting from the inside out. So this unite. It either becomes the numbers, because the 11 is the most intuitive master number, so you never reduce the numbers. So the 11 plus the 1 plus the 3 plus the 8 becomes either, it becomes a 23, but if you do reduce it, it becomes a 14. Either one of those, the great possessing shine, or 23, the splitting apart to regenerate. And they become a 5, which is nourished while waiting, patience, another great divine feminine aspect and attribute, patience, and this nourished while waiting. Welcome, Alicia. So as we look at these main energies, more importantly, we want to look at the astrological influences. What's coming up that is going to be arcing out in the next few weeks, in the next few days, the few weeks, and the next few months. And let's just look at the astrological influences. So we had the new moon in Scorpio at 9 degrees on November 1st. On the 3rd, we had the first of 3 Mars-Pluto oppositions, where they are literally opposite one another. These energies, the Mars-Pluto opposition, that is going to arc out for the next 6 months and through end of April of 2025. The first one that occurred on the 3rd was Pluto was in Capricorn, the final degrees of Capricorn. Mars was in Cancer. The next ones that are coming up, one is January 3rd and the other is in April of 2025. It will be where Pluto has moved into Aquarius, where it will stay for the next almost 20 years, and Mars is in Leo. So the energies will be different. However, they will be based on the original theme. Pluto and Capricorn at that final anaretic degree, and Mars in Cancer at that final anaretic degree. So going back to that very quickly. So then we move on to this coming Friday, the 15th of November. We have Saturn stationing direct. And remember, anytime a planet, and certainly one of the outer planets that affects the whole of the whole, anytime a planet stations, the vibration of it, the intensity of it is far stronger. Later in the day, we then have, so Saturn stations direct in the morning on the 15th. Later in the day, we have the full supermoon in Taurus. And this supermoon is the fourth supermoon in a row. And it is conjunct Uranus and conjunct the fixed star Algol. We'll get into that. But Uranus is expect the unexpected. And so here we have this. And then coming 4 days later, on the 19th of November, Pluto enters Aquarius and will stay there again for the next almost 20 years. The theme for these astrological influences is shock and awe. So it has to do with the Tower card in the tarot. Welcome, Olivia. And so, literally expect the unexpected. It has this whole, it's number 5 from the unseen this week. And number 5 denotes changes. And they were saying, the unseen was saying epiphanies, revelations, expect the unexpected with an emphasis on the UN, the unexpected. And it has to do with Uranus, the sun, the moon, Algol, Jupiter, and Mercury. So this whole, in essence, the way things appear now may ultimately not be the way they appear tomorrow, the next week, the next day, the next month. And this is where the divine feminine energies, this whole nourished while waiting, patience, and the receptive force, allowing our soul source connection to calm us, to guide us, to inspire us, to nourish us. And so it's to remember, we're going to quadruple down on where we began the weekly wisdom and insights journey on this, the return of the divine feminine, and how we work with these energies. It is not a time to recede from them. It is not. It is a time to quadruple down on them. So as we move through, so this thunder, shock, and awe, and the tower, let's just move into our main themes very quickly. Listen to the sound deep within. How horse medicine is absolutely tied to the receptive force. It's the gentle mare. We have providence. We have shock and awe. We have Saturn stations direct, Taurus full supermoon, and then this sacred feminine, the pentagram and the pentagon. Why? Well, let's look at the astrological chart. This is the astrological chart for this upcoming Taurus full moon. And when you look in the center inner circle, hopefully you all will be able to see very instantly what is a 5-pointed star right in the center. And within the 5-pointed star so the 5-pointed star is a pentagram. Within the 5-pointed star, just above the sharp red lines, is a pentagon. You also then should be able to see 3 triangles, one in blue, one gets larger in red, and then the largest where it's the blue. There's 3 layers, and it looks like a Christmas tree. Olivia is saying she saw the star right away. So we're going to keep coming back to this because it just gives me goosebumps. We're going to keep coming back to this chart and show you. But in essence, we're looking at the 5-pointed star, which is the pentagram. Within that is the pentagon. Within the inner circle, there are these 3 triangles that look like the tiering of a Christmas tree. And remember, some time ago, I want to say it was back in the June, July months, the unseen had said that, Christmas could come early or would come early. So keep all of this in mind. as we go through this listen to the sound deep within, horse medicine. This is about the sacred feminine, the divine feminine in this chart. I mean, uber presence. I want to share my screen very quickly, and this is katemurphy.com. Venus as the guardian of sacred feminine. Venus orbits close to our Mother Earth, acting as a spiritual sister and guardian. Both planets, though distinct in their paths, share a profound synergy, resonating with the energy of the divine feminine. This connection speaks to a deeper truth, one that transcends the physical and touches the spiritual. This image that Kate Murphy is using right in the center is the flower of Venus. It is the five-pointed star. Mother Earth, Gaia, it's feminine. The path of Venus, the journey of Venus through the skies is part of this connection. Venus moves through the sky in a simple but beautiful pattern, forming a mesmerizing five-petaled rose. Over 8 years, it goes around the sun 13 times and lines up with Earth 5 times. 5. Epiphanies, revelations, expect the unexpected. This Uranus, the sun, the moon, Algol, Jupiter, Mercury, in this Taurus full moon chart. Venus moves in a pattern that forms a pentagram, a five-pointed star, symbolizing the unity of the elements. The number 13 is also widely recognized as a profoundly feminine symbol, closely associated with the divine feminine. Let me just come back to this for a second. Look at the things that are associated with the divine feminine that have been co-opted, corrupted. 13, the number 13. It's highly associated, and we'll come back to this with what katemurphy.com, this is katemurphy.com, is saying. But the number 13, there's no 13 on an elevator. There's no 13th floor. They eliminate these things. They're attempting to remove the divine feminine. So the patriarchal powers that be over 2,000 plus years have gone to great lengths to remove the divine feminine, the truth of her, the presence of her from our known education, awareness, consciousness. And yet, look how highly interconnected she is. So let me just go back and continue here. So at the end of each of her evening star phases, she enters a new retrograde where she takes us into the depths before rising once more. She finds retrograde every 18 months and lasts for 40 days and 40 nights. There's a massive biblical reference here about wandering in the desert for 40 years. This Master Jesus going and for 40 days and 40 nights. 40 biblically, the biblical references of this, very strong. So we have in this chart, in this astrological chart, the star of Venus, the five-pointed star, the pentagram, and the pentagon. Symbols of the pentagon is a symbol of power, strength, authority. And again, as you're looking in the chart, the very, very prominent red line kind of running just slightly at 11 o'clock down to about 5 o'clock. At the bottom is the sun, the symbol for the sun. Directly opposite are the symbols for the moon conjunct Uranus. The symbol not on this chart is Algol. Algol is 1 degree to the 26 degrees of Taurus. So it's right next, these three are right next to each other, conjunct. So with that, we come into this point about listen to the sound deep within. And this is going to play from, there's a very famous song from the movie Dreamgirls. And it's a song that's performed by Beyonce. She recorded it, and it's on her album B-Day. The producers are Beyonce and the Underdogs. No mistakes. Listen to the song here in my heart, a melody I start but can't complete. Listen to the sound from deep within. It's only beginning to find release. Oh, the time has come for my dreams to be heard. They will not be pushed aside and turned into your own, all 'cause you won't listen. There is this massive tug of war going on between the patriarchal Piscean era and the matriarchal Aquarian era, and this transfer, peaceful transfer of power, of authority. And yet this Taurus full moon, it's Taurus, it's Earth, is demonstrating the prominence, the presence, the authority of the divine feminine. And what may appear today may disappear tomorrow. So what it looks like today may be different than tomorrow. And and I use the word tomorrow. It's the first thing from the unseen. They said, the sun will come out tomorrow. It's the song from Annie. More specifically, it's the version that was just performed in Britain's Got Talent by Sydney Christmas. June, July, the unseen said, Christmas may come early. So, and they made an emphasis on the word morrow, of tomorrow, M-O-R-R-O-W. Morrow means the following day, the time following an event, the near future, exclamation point. So the sun will come out tomorrow, and this Sydney Christmas. Continuing on, it says, listen, I am alone at a crossroads. I'm not at home in my own home. And I've tried and tried to say what's on my mind. You should have known. Oh, now I'm done believing you. You don't know what I'm feeling. I'm more than what you made of me. I followed the voice you gave to me, but now I've got to find my own. The divine feminine has been repressed, suppressed, co-opted, corrupted, so just to the point of almost extinction, like it's an afterthought. And yet, and again, for everybody listening, this is not solely to those in a feminine, female, physical body. This truth is universal. It speaks to all of us, because within all of us, unite, within all of us is divine masculine and divine feminine. Yin, yang, light, dark, these dualities and polarities, and yet they are meant to reside in peace, in harmony, in oneness with each other. And so where we have gone so far away from the divine feminine, her voice is coming up, out, loudly. She is saying, I'm at a crossroads. I'm not at home in my own home, and I've tried and tried to say what's on my mind. You should have known. You should have listened. It goes on, the song goes on to say, you should have listened. There was someone here inside, someone I thought had died so long ago. Oh, I'm screaming out, and my dreams will be heard. They will not be pushed aside or worked into your own, all 'cause you won't listen. She concludes in the song, I don't know where I belong, but I'll be moving on. If you won't, if you don't, listen to the song here in my heart, a melody I start, but I will complete. Now I'm done believing you. You don't know what I'm feeling. I'm more than what you made of me. I followed the voice you think you gave to me. But now I've got to find my own. My own. the divine feminine, the soul source connection, screams. She's soft as can be. She's the gentle mare, horse medicine. However, from the unseen, they are screaming to be heard. The soul source connection, the divine feminine, is screaming to be heard. And where our divine masculine, doesn't matter, again, gender is irrelevant. Where our divine masculine is not listening, is doubling and quadrupling down, is resisting, is in fear, we will and we must face it, because we are so out of harmony, out of unity. And this message, this moment, this time is all about Aquarian, matriarchal era rule. And that means the harmony of, the balance of, the unity of. It is not one over, it's not the divine feminine over the divine masculine. It is the divine feminine as one with the divine masculine, working in harmony and unity to effectuate oneness, wholeness, beauty, purity, truth. And so this is our main theme of listen to the sound deep within, horse medicine. It's powerful. It is number 3 from the unseen. It is seen through the eyes of the soul. When we see through the eyes of the soul, we immediately connect with and resonate with the divine feminine, the essence and the energies of that nourishment, of that purity, of that truth. It transcends all other energies. Because again, as we will see in horse medicine, the horse is guided. She is not in opposition to the creative force. As the receptive force, she is one with it. And how she advanced horse medicine, how she advanced humanity. We still to this day, when the horse and buggy and the horse and buggy and the cart and all of that was superseded by the car, by a vehicle, what do we say? The engine is represented by horsepower. It is at our origin. So let's look now. We're going to move to hexagram 2, which is the receptive force. And this is by Carrie Hone at cafeausoul.com. The action is to reflect. Reflect. The moon reflects the light of the sun. It's to reflect. It's to illuminate. Its hidden influence is itself, the receptive, to yield. Not be run over, but to yield, to listen. Its underlining cause is one, the divine masculine, the creative, to initiate. So it's how they work in tandem. It's how we utilize the receptive, the unseen, spirit source and symphony, your soul source connection. In service, we allow it to come through us so that we create, we initiate. When we do that, it's greatness. It's octaves beyond where we're leading with our ego, mind, personality, the creative, and the receptive is non-existent. It's like a lopsided scale or toy. I mean, can you imagine dragging along this dead weight because it's lopsided? That's what we've been doing. And so with hexagram 2, when you cultivate a natural response to what unfolds, you react less and observe more. It is often in the things that you cannot change that you discover Tao's power to guide you the most. Coming into our feminine, our divine feminine, allows us to be guided. We are the guest, not the host. It allows us to be in resonance and unity with the Master Weaver. with the unseen. Circumstances urge you forward, although reaction is how you defend the past against the future. This is our first quote. Reaction is how you defend the past against the future. And here you see this beautiful crystal orb sitting on this plate with the astrological symbols. It's circular, they're round. We're ever evolving, we're ever advancing. And what this moment and this hexagram and the divine feminine is saying is, release the past, release the old ways. Because circumstances are urging you forward, although reaction is how you defend the past against the future. See, there's a defensiveness in this moment that somehow we need to defend the past because the future is unknown or it's uncertain. And yet it's not. When we listen to the sound deep within, we know where we're going. We know it's before us. That beautiful saying about, the best of your days are not behind you, they're before you. It's simply about not defending the past against the future. Carrie Hung goes on to say, a natural response means that you respond to life without defending anything. We may find it odd that mystics deny the reality of the outer world, yet more people deny the immense power and reality of their inner world. We're lopsided. We're denying the divine feminine, our intuition, our soul source connection, our knowing. Like the time of autumn when all things turn back to be renewed, you are coached to turn inward to reinvigorate your inner garden. This is where we're doubling and tripling and quadrupling down on this truth of the divine feminine. She's prominent in this chart. When you compose your inner world and control its gusts and storms, ego, mind, personality, shadow, fear, anxiety, emotions, upset, you will discover wellness and harmony in the outer world. Tao prods you forward. But misfortune, it's our second quote. But misfortune is how those who go against the way are called unlucky. Because when we go against the way, it's an illusion. It is not the way. And in this image, you see the sun radiating on this like golden honey-colored field of flowers. Those who go against the way are called unlucky. They perceive themselves to be lucky and powerful and, all-consuming. But they're unlucky. And so, Carrie Hone concludes, if you are searching for direction, you will find it through your dreams, intuition, and inspiration. When these inner clues are measured against events, synchronicity will validate your pathway. Be still and have patience so that you may begin to cultivate your personal connection to what unfolds. This is a dramatic time. It's a heightened time. This, as above, so below. This upcoming, the Mars-Pluto opposition, it's going to occur 3 times. The upcoming Taurus full moon, that's conjunct Uranus, expect the unexpected. And algal, we'll come to what that means. And then, of course, the upcoming Pluto moving into Aquarius. There's so much happening between now and the end of the year. 3rd of January will be that second opposition. There's so much occurring. So what everything looks like today may be a complete inverse of that in early next year or any moment. I mean, again, expect the unexpected. And it's this image again of here's the beauty of the sunset, the 555, these changes. And this figure of a divine feminine holding the beauty of this fabric, like it's translucent fabric, which is the spirit. So there's much to be celebrated. It may be, the world may look differently than what this sounds like, but the underlining tones are there's much to be celebrated. And number 7, and this kept coming over and over and over again in this last week, and it is the High Priestess. The High Priestess in the tarot represents intuition, mystery, spiritual insight. Most importantly as well, things yet to be revealed. So we have this morrow, the sun will come out tomorrow, the following day, the time following an event, the near future, and the High Priestess. And she holds the Torah. She has the polarity of Boaz is the black column, Joaquin is the white column. She has the canopy of pomegranates. She has the moon at her feet. Wisdom. She reveals things yet to be revealed. And the High Priestess kept coming back over and over and over. The number of times I heard it intuitively, and then the number of times that speaking to the synchronicity in the receptive, when these inner clues are measured against events, synchronicity will validate your pathway, from Carrie Hone at cafeosoul.com from Hexagram 2. The synchronicity of that was staggering. And so, because at this moment, and I'm talking this moment, time is relative, but within these next months, number 4 from the unseen is blossom and bloom. See you on the other side of this, quote, tragedy. Well, so tragedy can mean an event causing great suffering, destruction, and distress. The way the unseen meant this, so blossom and bloom, see you on the other side of this tragedy. A play dealing with tragic events and having an unhappy ending, especially one concerning the downfall of the main character. That is how they meant the word tragedy, the definition of it as a play. A play dealing with tragic events and having an unhappy ending, especially one concerning the downfall of the main character. We're meant to blossom and bloom. We are meant to hold to, stay steady, stay centered, to utilize the sound deep within, that soul source connection, the divine feminine, to navigate this time. To not fall into despair, but to rise up in greatness. Welcome, Deborah. Let's move to, I'm just vacillating here. Okay, we're going to go to horse medicine really quickly. This is from Just Hagen, urbanhealersofla.com. Horse medicine, ever poised between yielding and taking action. The horse spirit animal totem is the living symbol of power and how to access it. The power of the horse built the Western world as we know it from antiquity to modern centuries, shaping beyond measure how we live our lives today. Without the strength and willingness of the spirit of horse to join and assist the spirit of mankind, there would be little to no technology to speak of on Earth. When we first climbed upon the strong back of the horse, took up her thick mane into our hands, and wielded her astounding strength and speed, she closed vast distances of time and space and opened uncountable opportunities beyond basic survival. Think about the horse and what it did for humanity. Now recognize that it is a feminine force. And what this is saying is when we are one with the power of the divine feminine, the feminine force, uncountable opportunities beyond basic survival avail themselves, present themselves to all of us. We've been there, done that. It's like, you're doing that, you keep doing that. How's that working out for you? We've been there with the patriarchal Piscean era. It's namaste. I bow to the divine in you. I thank you. But now I'm moving on. We are moving on because there is a higher octave, a greater opportunity within us for all of us. Jess Hagen goes on, like the harnessing of fire, the bond between horse and human is a triumph of nature that teaches how to balance physical strength with mental fortitude, how to overcome psychological resistance to collaboration, and how to work in harmony for the greater good. See, it's not kill or be killed and, competition and all. It's collaboration. It's working in harmony for the greater good. This medicine asks you to look at your methods and advises gentle collaboration rather than brute force. And remember, uniting, unite. It begins from the inside out. So where are you, whether masculine, feminine, so transgender, it doesn't matter. What's being asked of us is to look to see where we are out of balance, in dis-ease, disharmony within, so that we rectify it and we come into this sense of greater harmony. Are you jerking on the reins of a situation fighting for your way? Force is not the same as power. Power can be used without harmful force. Communication and patience enable us to navigate the powers that be towards our benefit. And this totem teaches how to be strong using the act of yielding. It is our mantra. Let me just bring that in for a moment. Surrender enhances all. Surrender is not giving up. Surrender is not waving the white flag. Surrender is not becoming subjugated to someone else or something else. The true purity and definition of surrender is when we surrender our ego, mind, personality in service to our soul source connection. It is the gentle mare. It is horse medicine. It is the divine feminine. It is allowing the creative force to move through us so that in harmony and unity, we create magnificent results. Surrender enhances all. Totem teaches the horse medicine totem teaches how to be strong using the act of yielding. Horse shows us how much more can be accomplished when we let go of abusive tendencies and learn to respect all animals as our equals. The horse spirit animal totem also speaks of the true nature of physical perfection and how to reach optimal performance without distressing competition or egoic motivation. It's how to overcome the ego, mind, personality. And when we do so, and we've cleansed and purified our ego, mind, personality, now we've got a healthy ego, mind, personality in service to higher good, soul source connection. Her teachings are all about getting the job done and obtaining physical results in the real world. This Taurus moon chart, full moon, super moon, it's about her teachings are all about getting the job done and obtaining physical results in the real world. Taurus. What gets in our way of doing our best, and how do we remove or leap over those obstacles? So what gets in our way of doing our best, and how do we remove or leap over those obstacles? The lessons of horse, like elephant, cannot be postponed. She will not be denied. Her energy requires immediate and full attention, which, if not respected, could lead to dire consequences. Power is a formidable teacher, and horse knows that the only way to have true power is to release it as it flows through its chosen vehicle. The unseen spoke to us multiple times about this power, this force of the divine feminine, and how it is not to be contained, retained, held onto, blocked, utilized in a negative way. It is meant to flow through us. And when you do not allow it to flow through you, destruction, tower moments, just bringing up the tower image again, these tower moments occur. This 555, change, And change, it's neither negative or positive. It's divine neutral. But depending on how you're interacting with this divine feminine power, it will either be a positive change or a disruptive negative change for you. True power is the ability to yield, as the spirit of horse yielded to humankind. Yielding is not an act of weakness. See, surrender is not an act of weakness. It's an act of empowerment because it's to yourself. It's to your soul self. Quite the contrary, yielding releases the mental anguish that makes life unbearable. Horse frees her mind when she stops fighting the world. Beyond the struggle is a vast field of peace and pleasure. Horse knows that it is not necessary to display one's power to have it. She understands that power is not a thing to have, but rather a way to be. Horse warns against the unsatisfying practice of putting on a show to convince others you have power. Doing this is cheating yourself out of the process that will enable you to obtain true power. People who believe they are the power they wield quickly learn the hard lessons of illness, loneliness, and resentment. This is the shadow aspect of the tower, of that tower moment. Using power to inflict harm will only harm yourself. Horse medicine teaches that the process of improvement involves a willingness to stop fighting the external guides whose greatest joy is in insisting us to reach our fullest potential. We must stop fighting our soul source connection, fighting the external guides whose greatest joy is in assisting us, the unseen, the spirit source and symphony, the divine feminine, our intuition, our knowing, our gut, however you want to identify, that is what we're fighting against. And it's keeping us from reaching our fullest potential. One glance at a horse and it is clear that she is power. There is nothing she needs to do to convince us of this. She need only stand there to communicate her truest nature. Like horse, humans are majestic beings beyond comprehension. Our power is inherent in our form. We are a five-pointed star. 2 arms, hands, 2 legs, feet, head, 5-pointed star. We do not need to prove to others we are strong, and we do not need to display our power at the expense of diminishing another. Horse knows that power is most effective when it is possessed with a quiet, standing reverence. Reverence to power, reverence to the unseen, reverence to the soul source connection. It's reverence. When you are feeling small and trampled, call on horse spirit to carry you back to the true state of your inherent majesty. The horse spirit animal totem also knows that the desire for improvement in our personal skills and abilities is the joy of life. This medicine teaches how to walk in balance between ambition and safety. The conversation between what is physically possible and what is theoretically possible is found in the discomfort of breaking past boundaries. It's the glass ceiling. It's moving beyond the past. It's breaking past these boundaries that we've erected so that we feel safe. That's an ego mind personality illusion. We are ever present, ever safe. Why? Because it's our key word. And our key word is providence. And providence, the protective care of God or of nature as a spiritual power, a manifestation of divine care, guidance, or direction, the guardianship and care provided by a deity or God, God conceived as the power sustaining and guiding human destiny, timely preparation for future eventualities. It's timely preparation for future eventualities. It's a fait accompli. It's a done deal, and we're being divinely guided. However, it is up to us to listen to the sound deep within. Horse says, you are stronger than you think you are. We are stronger than we think we are. We do not need the illusions of past boundaries when we have the ability to prepare for future eventualities. Morrow, the following day, the time following an event, the near future, and this blossom and bloom, see you on the other side of this tragedy. We must see through the eyes of the soul, through the divine feminine. Number 6 from the unseen, they said, ain't nothing like the real thing, baby. It's the song from Marvin Gaye. And it's number 6, it's spirit and service. What they meant by this, ain't nothing like the real thing, baby. It's original intelligence, not artificial intelligence. It's truth and reality, not deception and illusion. It's the unseen, spirit, source, and symphony, the divine feminine, the soul source connection. And it was very interesting, symphony. The whole of the whole, the symphony. What a beautiful word, energy. It's uplifting. And yet what the unseen drew me to was the word phony within the word symphony. So where is there illusion? Where is there disillusion? Where is this phony, this artificial power, this artificial sense of being? Because we're either operating within the energies and the awareness and the consciousness of the symphony, music of the spheres, the divine feminine, the unseen, or we're a phony. We're being inauthentic, disingenuous, false. And they concluded number 6 with, it's an old commercial, I think from the 70s or 80s, live, not Memorex. It's about in the living waters. The living waters. They're fluid, they're ever flowing, they're ever changing, they're ever advancing. It's not the still waters. It's the living waters. And so again, we're faced in this moment where we must bring all of the shadow, the guck, the ick up, splitting apart to regenerate, to transmute it, to move beyond this illusion, these false walls that we tell ourselves makes us safe. Let's move to Astrology by Lauren. And this week's astrology, she said, it's titled The Aftermath, Saturn Stations Direct. Under the aegis of the Mars-Pluto opposition this past week, in the face of great trepidation, we were given a reality check. With the Mars-Pluto opposition falling right on the United States' Sibley chart during its own Pluto return, we stand at the threshold of what could feel to many like imminent destruction. Oppositions bring all sorts of things to the surface. Oppositions to Pluto dig down even deeper into the very bowels, to the dark underbelly, and exposes it all. And so it did. Mars in Cancer, even in her most glorious moment, was unable to overcome the wraths and demons that had been lying dormant beneath the surface. That is not hyperbole. This is reality. And yet, it is okay. It may feel like we woke up in mortar on Wednesday morning, but this does not mean to give up. Sometimes you must fall off the cliff to climb back up and start all over again. And sometimes we must dive deep into the darkness to see the stars. Saturn, the planet of reality, is coming to station. It's stationing from retrograde to direct on November 15th, ending its retrograde phase while showing us who we are, without guile or pretense, just cold, hard truth. Saturn can appear to shatter our ideals when in the sign of Pisces, but Saturn does not tell us not to dream. What Saturn wants of us is to believe in the dream and to even more fully commit to the dream, to make it a closer and more achievable reality. So we are being given this in this moment, and keep in mind, the unseen keeps giving me like moment, instance. Now, time is relative, but the overall intuitive feeling of this is it's a finite moment. So anything can happen in the next days, weeks, months, finite, instant, moment. There are many paths within the realm of Pisces, all of which seem to have an aspect of or an expression of what we think of as the divine or an ideal in manifestation. They may involve a certain amount of sacrifice and probably won't pay very well. But that is because the rewards of Pisces are not on the material plane. A Pisces path is more of a higher calling, devotion to a cause, a path that will bring greater meaning and satisfaction to our lives. We need to remind ourselves of this as Saturn makes its direct station this week, within the bounds of its semi-square. A square is a frictional aspect in astrology, to the dark lord Pluto. So we are in this moment of transition, of change, and big Pluto, Saturn, Uranus, the sun and moon, Jupiter and Mars. There are so many, and that's just in this moment, in this one chart. And then things will continue. Mercury is going retrograde. Mars is going retrograde, all before the end of the year. So there's a lot, as above, so below. There's a lot of astrological influences and energies shifting and changing, all with this five-pointed star, the star of Venus. It's the oldest symbol, by the way, known to humanity. Somewhere, its first recordings are somewhere around 3,500 BC to 4,000 BC. So we're talking about, 6,000 years old. It's the oldest symbol, the pentagram, the five-pointed star, Venus, the divine feminine, the divine mother, our intuition, our soul source connection. Astrology by Lauren, she goes on to say, on November 18th, Pluto will enter Aquarius, and society as a whole have already been taking their respective positions. All signs have both their positive and shadow expressions. And Pluto has this remarkable capacity to bring out the extremes. Remember back with the great American eclipses, and then the one that was in 2017, and just this year, earlier this year, was its bookend. And the unseen said to us, we're drawing a line in the sand. You're being seen. You're being counted. Well, here, Pluto has this remarkable capacity to bring out the extremes, respective positions. At one end, we have the promises of freedom, democracy, equality, and brother-sisterhood, where everyone is being offered a seat at the table. At the other extreme, we see the growth of totalitarian populist regimes wreaking chaos and havoc across the planet. But perhaps the most lethal aspect of the shadow side of Pluto in Aquarius is indifference to the existential threats our planet now faces, and a total lack of empathy for our fellow humanity, our fellow human. It is this, in the end, that will destroy us. This lack of empathy, this indifference. So this is why they said at the very beginning of the show, we began this journey 3 years ago, the return of the divine feminine, and how to work with these energies. And in this moment, it is not a time to recede. It is not a time to withdraw. It is not a time to surrender in a shadow aspect way. It is a time to listen to the sound deep within, to quadruple down on your commitment to your soul source connection, to your soul leading the way. Like horse medicine and humankind being one with each other. And watching and not even just watching, but being proactive in the greatness that materializes because of it, through it, with it. Astrology by Lauren concludes, at these times of transition, the choices are ours. not anyone else's. This is a time of sowing, and the ultimate outcomes are yet to be written, for they are based on our choices. And when Saturn is semi-square Pluto, these choices have huge ramifications. And it's also important to note, they are based on our choices. What choices were made preceding the election in the United States? The Scorpio new moon, this Taurus full moon. The sun in Scorpio is about truth. It's about illuminating. So the sun, our life force, it illuminates. The moon is opposite in Taurus. So it's earth, it's tangible. She's conjunct Uranus, expect the unexpected, which is they are conjunct algal, and which in modern interpretation denotes the sacred feminine. So again, be very open to how this all plays out. Be open. It's number 8 from the unseen, and 8 is the infinity symbol, 8 turned on its side. The unseen said, embrace change. Do not fear change. Embrace it. And like horse medicine, like the gentle mare, the receptive force, be open to how Providence, how God, the unseen, the master weaver, is masterfully creating this moment that we are all going through. Lauren concludes, however, as we stand here, facing what we feel like insurmountable odds, we are also reminded that it is at this point in the cycle, the opening crescent of the Saturn-Pluto cycle, that we are most likely to give up. See? Don't give up. Double down, quadruple down in a pure, positive, I am based and centered way. Lauren concludes, but we mustn't and we cannot give up. Growth and the evolutionary progress of humanity is an inevitability. Sometimes we must fall off the cliff to get there, and we are going to have to live with the consequences of that fall. But get there we will. And she concludes with this. I've said that 5 times, I apologize, but here she's doing a quote from Kamala Harris that says, sometimes the fight takes a while. That doesn't mean we won't win. The important thing is to not ever give up. Don't ever stop trying to make the world a better place. You have power, and you don't ever listen when somebody tells you that something is impossible, just because it has never been done. It's in the face of that adversity, of that challenge. And this is not a political statement where she's referencing Kamala Harris. It's a truth. It's a divine feminine truth. We all must reconcile the imbalance, our imbalance of the divine masculine and the divine feminine within ourselves and externally in our world. That is how we come to true reconciliation, true unity, true harmony, true goodness, where each have a place, a seat at the table, where each collaborate and work in harmony with the other. And unless or until we do that, our experiences, per se, will dictate. However, remember, a higher providence, a higher hand is guiding and creating everything. And so, lest we believe that the power that we quote unquote yield is ours, that's artificial intelligence. That's illusion. That's deception. The true, real power, it's original intelligence. It's source. It moves through us. And when we allow it to guide us in the most pure and positive ways, greatness occurs. When we attempt to bottle it up, control it, dis-ease occurs. It's just fact. So I'm just looking to make sure we've covered number 2. And I do want to I want to include from Pam Youngin's North Point Journal. I've mentioned algol. So before we do that, the algol effect. This is from Pam Youngin's North Point Journal. With the full moon at 24 degrees Taurus and Uranus at 25 degrees Taurus, both are also conjunct the fixed star Algol at 26 degrees Taurus. If you recall, the Mars-Uranus conjunction that occurred on July 15th of this year at 26 degrees Taurus was at the same degree as Algol and thus activated some shocking events. The astrological energies for this Taurus full supermoon on Friday. And those energies can arc out for about a week after. But again, there's so much happening so events but they're tower moments, shocking events. So tower moments. I'm going to bring up the image one more time. It is this incredible, and remember, tower, thunder, shock and awe. Tower moments can be perceived to be both positive and negative. They're divine and neutral. But in other words, we can have greatness occur and it's shocking. Equally, we can have just absolute shock and destruction. They're both tower moments. The fixed star Algol is part of the Perseid constellation and is located in Medusa's head. In ancient astrology, the star represented misfortune, danger, and violence. In today's astrology, we also see it as a symbol of feminine power, the ability to rise above victim consciousness and transformation. Our experiences of mid-July could provide insights into the themes that will be revisited around the time of Friday's full moon. While the lunation might not have as strong an impact as that Mars-Uranus Algol alignment, it could trigger some similar energies. So again, astrological influences, shock and awe, epiphanies, revelations, expect the unexpected in our individual lives and in our collective lives, the whole of the whole, the world stage, because we're meant to embrace change. How we get there, life is messy, birth is messy, death is messy, life is messy. Expect. Friday's full moon is my birthday, Olivia is saying happy early birthday and wishing you positive tower moments, epiphanies, revelations. Expect the unexpected, because both are possible. All is divine and neutral. And as we look at all of this beautiful energy, and again, it can be messy. The moral is, and I'm just going to use this of the sunflowers, the sun will come out tomorrow. It will. It's inevitable. And we close with number 2 from the unseen. It's the song from Jackie to Shannon. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. And the etymology, the meaning of Shannon means possessor of wisdom. So what the world needs now is love, sweet love. Love conquers all. Love conquers all. It cannot be diminished. It's impossible. It is it's our foundation. And so remember this as we navigate. And just one last thing, sorry, with the show notes. The SABIAN symbols for this full moon, there's a few. The one with the sun, an X-ray photograph. The capacity to acquire a knowledge of the structural factors in all existence. The true philosopher can grasp and significantly evaluate what underlies all manifestations of life. Their mind's eye penetrates through the superficialities of existence and perceives the framework that gives an at least relatively permanent form to all organized systems. It's piercing through the illusions. It's seeing the truth, what's really at play. Thus, if the structure is weak, deformed by persistent strain, or unbalanced, the basic causes of outer disturbances and dis-ease can be discovered. This is the sun in Scorpio, revealing truth. It's an X-ray photograph. It's going to the depths, to the absolute underbelly. And these disturbances and imbalance and dis-ease can be discovered. This symbol gives an added dimension to the preceding four. For instance, it provides the conscience of the individual who refuses to obey their society with a depth understanding of what is wrong in the situation they face. Beyond the powerful feeling quality of peak experiences, the mind can understand the great principles of which they were the manifestations. This is structural knowledge. So we are being given, the sun is going to X-ray, it's going to light up structural knowledge, the things that are at our foundation that are shadow, wrong, imbalanced, in dis-ease. So corruption, lies, illusion, delusion. It's going to light it up. It's an X-ray. I'm not going to go into the moon and Uranus. They are about collective enjoyment, role-playing, and Algol. Now, the symbol for Algol, an old Indian woman selling the artifacts of her tribe to passers-by. Peaceful adaptation to collective needs. In contrast to the impetuosity of the Spanish serenader, that is the symbol where Uranus is. So the impetuosity of the Spanish serenader. We now see the quiet and smiling face of an old Indian woman offering for sale the traditional products of her tribal culture. Think back horse medicine, Native Americans, and how I'll put this in, there's another piece to the horse medicine where literally indigenous peoples, Native Indians, were one with the horse. They could literally ride on the side of the horse and make it look like it was a riderless horse. She too is functioning within the culture which has been sustaining her activity through a long life, bringing to her personal peace and inner contentment. In old age, the power of the collectivity once more reasserts itself, overcoming the perhaps wearying effort man makes to assert his uniqueness and individual character. This means that the power of the collectivity once more reasserts itself, overcoming the individual ego-mind personality. At this stage, the aging mind of the individual peacefully reintegrates itself into the psychic matrix of their group and culture, in serene adjustment to the vital needs of the whole, of which they see themselves as a fleeting part. There's adjustment. It can be shock and awe. It can be literally lightning strikes and so forth. There's so much here. Please read. I'll post all of the Sabian symbols on the Dearjames Facebook page for this show thread. Read them against the backdrop of what's occurring right now in the world and certainly in the United States. You cannot make these up if you tried. They are so prescient and revealing. So there's many here that speak to a rebirth, that speak to proving oneself, executive power, and certainly the divine feminine, where we find release. Remember from the song, we find release from the bondage, from the chains that bind us, from the old institutions, foundations, regime. Wisdom, this release. So with that, this could be a 3-hour show. However, we're mindful of the time. So at the end of the day, in a nutshell, in this 3-year anniversary of weekly wisdom and insights, where we began with the return of the divine feminine and how to work with these energies, today we are reaffirming our commitment to this cause, to this truth, and to this outcome. Listen to the sound deep within. Horse medicine. The sun will come out tomorrow, the near future, the following day, the time following an event. What the world needs now is love, sweet love, love, possessor of wisdom, seen through the eyes of the soul, the divine feminine, the essence and the energies. We're nourished while waiting. We're nourished in anticipation of this release and this deliverance, this reality. Blossom and bloom. See you on the other side of this tragedy. Expect epiphanies, revelations, expect the unexpected. Because there ain't nothing like the real thing, baby. Original intelligence, soul, source, connection, intelligence. Live, not Memorex. And how the high priestess, representing intuition, mystery, spiritual insight, things yet to be revealed, are revealed. And how when we embrace change, greatness is assured. Greatness is at hand. Until next week, be well and be kind and be confident, be strong, be centered with your internal wisdom, your internal knowing, your soul source connection. Love you all. Thank you so much for being on this journey 3 years in. And I look forward to seeing where the unseen Spirit, Source, and Symphony guide us next. Be well. We'll see you next week.